Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Find Your Finish Line, the podcast that's not only about you being able to find your finish line at a race or an event, but also in life. And I talk to people of all walks of life that have overcome some serious hurdles to get to their finish lines. So hopefully their stories will help you to be inspired to be on your way to find your finish line. Matter of fact, my guest today, I wrote in my book that I believe it was one of the greatest comeback sports stories that you would ever hear. And a lot of people agreed with me after they read the story about him. It was a story that I was introduced to back in 2007 when he came to Kona to do the coveted Ironman World Championship. He went from Deathbed to Ironman in a pretty short period of time. Everybody, meet Brian Boyle. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thank you for the very special introduction. It's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for the privilege to be here today. I really appreciate it.
Are you kidding me? The honor's mine. You know, you're like a son to me because I was enamored by your story, and obviously I have a son about your age, and couldn't imagine that what you went through. That I would have someone like that go through that close to me. So, but the connection has always been there between us. Brian was coming home from high school swim practice when he was 18 years old, and a garbage truck crushed his car, and my gosh, he died 8 times on the operating tables through surgeries and recovery. He had 30 some blood transfusions and the whole deal. But Brian's life today is a fantastic life, and we're going to talk about that. Husband to Pamela and 3 beautiful children. So Brian, I always ask this question of all my guests. The first question on Find Your Finish Line: what kind of workout did you get in today?
This morning was just a quick 60-minute kind of tempo run this morning. It was a great way to start the day. Beautiful spring day here in Maryland, and it was nice to get out there and stretch our legs a little bit. So it was a good workout.
Funny you say that, with Maryland, do you get much running in during the winter months?
It depends. We have good weather. This past year, we didn't have too much snow. We had like one snow day for Claire and her school and everything. But it was pretty chilly, but for the most part, I'll get out there and be able to get the mileage in for the running. And if it's a little icy, then I'll just go in the treadmill, which is no big deal. But this past year, most of the outdoor training was able to take place.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as I said earlier, I did write about you and your accident and your recovery and your Kona Odyssey. And when I was doing that, Brian, I go, oh my gosh, 10 years. Are we close to the anniversary date of the accident?
Yes, Mike, it's been 20 years since the near fatal car accident, and the journey continues every single day. So this year is it's a special one for my family and I.
20 years. I just I can't even believe it. I don't know why I wrote down 10 years. Maybe because I don't want to get older. So every time I do that, I go, oh, that was only 10 years ago. Can you believe that your journey in the past 20 years has really helped inspire so many people to obviously donate blood, the American Red Cross, which you work for, and we'll talk about that. But did you ever think that 3 years after that accident when you did Ironman, that your story was going to inspire hundreds of thousands of people?
I never would have imagined. It was a dream come true to do that race and to be able to get to Kona, to the starting line. All my life watching the Ironman broadcast on TV every year is the inspirational stories, the human spirit, everything about the Ironman race and its history. To be able to do that race was a phenomenal experience, and the impact of that afterwards, the feedback that I received from other participants, other triathletes, those who may have seen the broadcast on TV or heard about the story, it just meant the world to receive such positive feedback and to hear the wonderful stories. And it was just amazing to have that interaction with so many wonderful people.
Well, and then You're going through your recovery. Heck, you lost like 100 pounds. You were a shell of your former self. A swimmer with great muscle build and the whole deal. And then through recovery, you said to your dad, by the way, say hello to Garth Ryan for me. Say hello to mom and dad.
Of course, and then they send their love
you
as
know,
well, as always.
oh, great, great. But you said to your dad, Dad, I want to do an Ironman. Well, your father's reaction, he didn't know what the heck that was. And when he looked it up and found out, and he says, well, nobody can do that type of thing. What was that part of your recovery where, you know what, I need to do something really, really hard because I feel it'll make me better? What was your thought process of wanting to do an Ironman after your accident?
That's a great question, Mike. I look back at that time frame and going through the recovery process, leaving the ICU, I'm getting back into life again. We're getting that independence. I'm walking. I'm out of the wheelchair. I have the restraint belts around my waist. I'm able to move forward. And I still felt so limited. I felt so dependent on those around me, my parents, my physical therapists. And this is a few months after leaving ICU. I'm recovering, but I just felt so limited. And I just kept thinking that tomorrow could be a better day. I kept getting stronger, kept doing outpatient therapy, rehabilitation. And then a year later, I'm in college, I'm on the swim team. Life is good, things are still progressing, but I still felt limited, even though I was in college on the swim team and so forth. And then it was about a
Well,
year.
Brian, let me interrupt you. Did you feel limited physically or mentally? Where was the limitation at in your mind, or where was it at?
It was both. It was both, especially the physical side of things, because I was still very dependent. I wasn't anywhere back to where I was when I was in high school, preparing for my upcoming college swim season. I felt so just limited to that extent as far as what I could do in the pool, what I could swim, what I could do running wise, lifting, strength training. That part was very obvious. And then also the psychological, the emotional toll that the recovery took on myself, my parents,
Mm.
the PTSD. And we got to that point where it was like, what can I do to complete that healing process? And it was always a dream of mine to one day do an Ironman triathlon, just watching that race every year during my childhood, having that experience of knowing what the race was about to that extent, of seeing it on TV, not participating in triathlons or long distance endurance events like that. And I thought to myself, okay, if I can complete an Ironman triathlon, I'm back to life. I'm fully healed. I'm recovered. Mom and dad, they don't have to worry anymore about me. If I cough or have a sore throat, I'm not having to go back to the emergency room for
Mm.
observation and checkup. So the Ironman was that big ultimate goal to complete the overall healing process. Also, one of my goals when I graduated from high school, do the swim team, do the Ironman, and so forth. But especially during the recovery process, to do a race like the Ironman, that was the focal point for me to really get back into life again, to complete the healing, complete the recovery. And I set that bar pretty high because I was still healing in a lot of ways the 3 years when I was in recovery. But the Ironman was able to help complete that process for me and also my parents. And it was an amazing, amazing experience.
And you mentioned PTSD, and I've had quite a few guests on, whether it was military or police or traumatic things that happened in, excuse me, traumatic things that happened in their life. Was your mom and dad going through that too? Were the three of you like in this one unit family that's not being able to figure out, like, wow, what's happening to us?
Yes, more so for my parents than me. When I was in the
Mm.
coma, I had the sedation, I had the morphine, I had all the medications and the paralysis, everything was there. I woke up in the hospital bed about a month and a half into the 2 month coma. And now I'm trying to piece together what happened to me, what's going to happen to me, the broken bones, the ventilator next to my hospital bed. But my parents are going through this and they were not shielded like I was. They didn't have the morphine or the sedation. They saw every single second when I was in the recovery, when I was in the coma, coming out of the coma. Every day was a roller coaster ride of emotions. And as I was able to continue on in that recovery process, come out of the coma, I'm in the hospital, I'm going through recovery, it's taken a toll on them because now they're my full-time care providers and I'm putting on the brave face, mom and dad, it's okay, I'm smiling, I'm laughing. Inside I'm hurting, I'm going through a lot, but they're going through something 1,000 times worse than what I was going through physically. And I thought, what can I do to help them during that time frame? And just the PTSD they experienced was and is a long term process that we had to overcome.
When you were in that hospital, I recall you telling me that you'd hear voices around you, your mom and dad talking, or doctors saying he's going to need long term care and all that stuff. And didn't you just kind of ask God to take you away?
I did. I did. And that was about the halfway point of the 2 month coma. And I'm coming
Mm,
out of the sedation. They're kind of testing my reflexes, what I'm able to respond to and be aware of. And I'm not reliably showing any signs of communication, of understanding. But I knew what was going on. I could hear, I could sense the people around me, and I knew how serious the situation was. I'm hearing those conversations around me about vegetative state, possible nursing home. If I ever leave the hospital,
mm,
it will be going to another long-term assisted living center. And I'm 18 years old. All these goals
yeah.
and dreams were on standby, and it was just that process of just being so overwhelming. And after a while of hearing this constantly, I gave up. I selfishly gave up. I started praying, got God to end the suffering, to take me away from the situation that I was in. And after a few days of having that mindset of just being done with life and the suffering, my parents, having that parental instinct, somehow knew what I was thinking, because I could not respond to them. I could not let anyone know what I was envisioning, what I was thinking.
Right.
And my dad came in that day and had that pep talk where he was begging me to stay strong, to keep going, to keep living for myself, my family, future wife and children. And it shocked the life back into me, which is what I needed in that point in time to keep going and keep fighting.
Wow. It's just, it's amazing me too. And I can say this, well, that we can fast forward to 2007 because what you went through with the 14 operations, 36 blood transfusions, the recovery, the loss of weight, trying to get your strength back. And some people train for an Ironman for 4 or 5 years to get ready, and they're able bodied athletes. When you were chosen by NBC to be one of the special interest stories, was that gonna always happen in 2007, or was that gonna be later on?
Well, the goal initially was I wanted to be able to do an Ironman, and being here in Maryland, I was thinking more like Lake Placid, Ironman Louisville,
Right,
something more
right.
local. And when I reached out to the Ironman team, this was probably spring of 2007. I was finishing up my final exams for the spring semester in college, and I reached out to the Ironman, and I was like, "This is a bit about my story, my background. Is there a way of starting this process of preparing for an Ironman? I would like to do one in the future to complete the healing process for my recovery." Sent the email, forgot all about it, went up and finished up my final exams, preparing for summer and everything. And then a month later is when I received the phone call from Ironman and the NBC production team, and they said, "Brian, would you be interested in possibly doing Kona this year?" And this was May, June of 2007. The Ironman that year was in October, and I said,
Right.
"Of course, I will do whatever I have to do to get ready, get prepared, to get 100% focused on attempting that dream of a race for me." Because for me, there was such an urgency, because after my recovery, every day was a gift, every day was survival. And like I said, I felt so limited, so restrained. The dream was to do an Ironman, to complete that process of not having to feel like I was limited anymore, not feeling like I couldn't go on and enjoy life, live life, and have those accomplishments and everything. So when I had that invitation come in, I started right then and there to be fully focused, getting ready to do that half marathon, because I had to do the Steelhead 70.3 in August
Right.
to show I can physically handle attempting the full distance Ironman in October that year. And it was a process, and it was everything I hoped it would be and more. And I fell in love with the sport immediately. I loved everything about it. It was difficult, the challenge of it, but the support that I received, the motivation, the encouragement from my medical team, my doctors, my nurses, my family, my parents, we're out there, we're living life. I'm attempting the impossible, and it's been that overall team support from day one to get to the finish line for that first half Ironman to Kona to all these years later, and it's been
Well,
amazing.
you know, it's 70.3, you train for that, but Ironman is a little bit different of an
Yes.
animal. Did you Brian, did you go out and get a coach for Kona? What did you or were you all self-trained?
That year, they put me in contact with Life Sport Coaching, Lance Watson, and his
Oh,
wonderful team. They were very helpful that year, getting me ready on how to pretty much start from scratch, getting me used to getting
yeah.
the shoes, the cycling shoes clipped into the pedals, the arrow position, getting everything set up with the bike fit, learning the transition from swimming in a pool to open water swimming, swimming with a wetsuit. I was able to have all that instruction and guidance for the first half Ironman leading up to Kona as well, and it really made a difference.
Well, Brian, I remembered vividly meeting you in Kona, you and mom and dad for the first time. And what I remember is you were like a kid in a candy store. And I looking around, like, this is the greatest thing ever. But mom and dad were like looking around like, who the hell are these people? Who are these? What is going on here? They're not hardly wearing any clothes. And they were like, and all race day when I would talk about you on the microphone, I really was talking to Garth and Joanne because I just knew they were. I thinking, what are they? Is my boy going to get done with this this crazy thing? What's your recollection of hitting that island for the first time with mom and dad?
Oh, Mike, I'll tell you, going back to 2007 when we first landed, just the energy of
Yeah,
being in Kona, I cannot even explain what that feeling was like because we always hear about that. The triathletes talk about going to Kona and that the energy. Oh, it was incredible. And me and my parents, we were just so thankful to have that opportunity to get there. I'm going to try my best. I'm not sure I can actually finish this race, but I'm going to give it everything I possibly have and just focus in on the teamwork, the support, everyone that's believing in me, the energy of the of Kona, the lava fields, the history, the Ironman. I'm soaking it all in, talking to my parents about it. We were just thrilled to have that experience, and it was life changing and life giving in so many ways. And oh, it was just incredible. And then to meet you, Mike,
and dude, you went like 1440. I mean, you had a great day.
it was a good day. Surprisingly, it hurt. It was a
Yeah.
challenging day. The swimming was okay. I was able to get through the swim, and I thought to myself, whatever
Right.
I have left on the swim, we're going to just focus in on that bike for however many hours that I need to get that cut off. And we had it was 2007. It was obviously as hot as lava fields as Kona. I
Yeah.
remember just the headwinds and the crosswinds, and I'm still getting used to being on the bike in the arrow position and then getting to that run. I would crawl that marathon if I had to, just to get to that finish line. And it's an experience that I will always cherish. It was everything.
Well, Brian, it's been one of the highlights of my career of bringing you in and seeing you come through the finish line and mom and dad giving you a hug. I even wrote in my book, I thought one of you were going to explode and you were hugging each other so hard
Yep,
at, at the finish and all the cameras are on you. And so congratulations again, even though it's been 20 years. Uh, people always say, and I tell everybody, when you finish an event like that, it changes you and can help your journey for the rest of your life. And I truly believe that happened to you.
it did. It did, Mike. And honestly, that particular day, I wasn't sure I could finish that race until I heard your voice getting that last 100
Yeah.
yards of that race. It was a what if. It was like, okay, can I get the cutoff from the swim to the bike to the run? And I didn't really set in with me that I could finish that actual race until I got to the last 100 yards. When I heard your voice on the loudspeaker, I saw the lights, I saw the people cheering. Just those last 100 yards, Aerosmith's Sweet Emotion was playing on the loudspeakers, and then I saw my
Oh,
parents there
I
at the
love it.
finish line, and it was a moment that I think about constantly. Whenever I'm training for a triathlon, for an Ironman, a half Ironman, I reflect back on that, and it was your words getting to that finish line that just made it even more bittersweet. Just so powerful, and just a memory that my parents and I talk about and just reflect on constantly.
A great memory for me too. So congratulations on that. And everybody, this is Brian Boyle. Brian Boyle went through a horrific car accident back in 2004. Has done numerous Ironmans now and run marathons and works for the American Red Cross. So Brian, I'm saying that everyone because I'm going into another part of Brian's life, which wasn't a highlight, but so in 2019 they had their daughter, and now they had a son, Liam, in 2019, and he had quite a few heart defects, and here you've got a little baby, Brian, and going through so many different operations of almost like what dad went through and needing blood. And when I started seeing that and found out about it, I just go, this is not deserved of this family. Did you ever feel that way? You go, wait a minute, I went through all this hell, and why would my little newborn have to do almost the same thing? Did you ever think that way? Like,
I
why'd this
did.
happen to us?
Yeah, yeah. My wife and I talked about it quite a bit when we were in the hospital. Even my parents, because they're living it now with their grandson. And Liam, he'll be 5 this August, and in his
Yeah.
background, his cardiac background, he was born with about a dozen major cardiac defects. He's had 4 major open heart operations already due to congenital heart disease that he has, a very critical form of that. And I just reflect back on my own journey when I was a trauma ICU patient, all the 14 operations that I had, the heart, liver, kidneys, all the vital organs. And now I'm watching my son go through his own healthcare journey, his own
Hmm.
ICU, cardiac ICU experience. And the one thing that I think about is I'm just so grateful for the care that I had, the modern technology, the operations, the skilled surgeons, the nurses, the wonderful team that I had, and also the wonderful team that Liam has as well, that help him get through these surgeries, to the preparation, the actual operation, the recovery, and also them helping me and my wife and my family as we're going through this journey with them as well. We think about it all the time, and we just can't believe that my son's going through a very similar experience that I went through back in 2004. But what brings me hope is knowing that we have wonderful care, wonderful team of people believing in us, supporting us. His medical team's fantastic, and we're just so grateful for all that support that we've had over the years.
How's he doing now, Brian? Running around and with his breath and everything. Is this something that he'll grow out of, or is this something that he'll be affected, for his life?
That's a great question. For his kind of heart disease, we will have more heart surgeries. We'll have more cardiac catheterizations in the future. Is a very critical form. So we're hoping to get to the 20s to the 30s when we have to start looking at potential heart transplant for Liam and everything. But the way modern medicine is, we're just hoping for miracles every year, every day, and just hoping that there's different kind of interventions that can be done surgically, that can be implemented into his cardiac kind of unique system that he has to help him in the future. But his energy level is great. He keeps up with his big sister Claire, and Claire is 6 years old. He's going to be 5, and he has so much energy running around with her, playing on the playground. We have to calm him down because he'll get ahead of himself, and we have to have him sit down for a few seconds just to kind of recoup a little bit, recover, and he's back out there running full steam ahead. But we're always very careful with him and have him be a little more cautious than he tries to be, because he's just so full of energy, so full of life, so happy. Looking at him, you would never think the cardiac system that he has
I
is as
know.
unique as it is, but he's our bundle of joy. He's our little heart warrior, and we're so amazed at him every day and what he's been able to overcome and accomplish at such a young age. I get my inspiration from him, and he's truly incredible.
Well, your family is built on miracles, and I know many more are coming your way, Brian
Thank
and
you.
Pamela. So I have no doubt about that. And Liam, that's just an incredible story. So you and Pamela, your beautiful bride, by the way, she just celebrated a birthday. Wish her happy birthday. And don't you have a birthday coming up?
I do,
Yeah.
yes, on Saturday. Be 38.
How old are you now,
I'll be 38 this weekend.
dude? You're getting old. You're going to be 40 years. I can't wait to call you on your 40th
There we
birthday.
go.
All
I'm
right,
looking forward to
it's all
it.
over.
With the different age brackets in Ironman too, so getting close to that.
Yeah, that's the only group of people I know in life can't wait to get to older to get to the next age bracket because they'll be the younger one in the age bracket. So you and Pamela wrote a children's book called Swim, Bark, and Run. And by the way, you sent that to me when my 9-year-old grandson was 4. And I remember reading it to him, and it just brought tears to my eyes, thinking that it was just fantastic. So, what prompted you guys to write a children's book?
Yeah, yeah, Mike. Thank you for the kind words. First of all, and yeah, it was just a fun little project for my wife and I. She's a nurse practitioner, and my background as a healthcare advocate and also as a triathlete, it was something that we kind of based on our bulldog Daisy at the time, our English bulldog. She kind of inspired that. We'd go to her favorite playgrounds, her favorite areas where we take her like to the dog park and everything, and it's kind of built on just that idea. And what if a bunch of dogs did a dog triathlon, a little dog athlon kind of thing. So it was a cute idea for children to kind of bring that concept of how fun triathlon is for the younger audiences to get young kids interested in the sport. Now, as a parent, I just felt, what can I read to my daughter Clara at the time, because she was just a few years old, and I thought I wanted to have a triathlon book for kids. So that really is kind of what inspired that idea initially. And then we dedicated the book to her. And she's always excited to see the book in the library or see her name on the first page for the introduction and the dedication and everything. So just a fun little idea, fun little project to help get young children interested in the sport of triathlon.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You parents out there, make sure you look it up. Pamela and Brian Boyle, Swim, Bark, Run. It's a great kids book to kind of let them know triathlon is fun. And because you can't exactly preach to your kids, hey, do a triathlon, because they see you going through all these workouts. So it's better to be introduced to it with a book like that.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So in your accident, you lost like 60% of your blood. Obviously, Liam needed a lot of transfusions, and your life for almost the past 20 years has been built around workside American Red Cross. And did I read a stat that you yourself you've donated like 6 gallons of blood over your lifetime? Back to the American Red Cross.
Yes, yes. Just recently reached my 4 gallon milestone.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's unbelievable. I love that. So, what's your role with the American Red Cross now?
I help with social media, working with our blood donors Facebook page, talking to the donors, helping answer any questions that they may have. And it's always a great experience. My journey to the Red Cross began as a dedicated volunteer back in 2007, right after, about a month after coming home from Kona from the Ironman, having that clean bill of health, that recovery. I wanted to be able to give back. And a goal of mine when I was still going through recovery in my wheelchair was to one day become a blood donor and a Red Cross volunteer, initially to be able to say thank you for the gift that I was given. And all these years since, it's been an amazing experience being able to not only donate, host drives, work with this wonderful organization, and just make a difference every single day. It really means a lot to me.
Something just hit me, Brian. If that accident hadn't happened, what do you think your life would look like today?
That's a great question. It would be a lot different. It would be a lot different. I think back then, I think the goals that I had were like I said, to go to college, to
Similar.
one day do the Ironman. I would have probably gone into like marine biology or sports psychology. I love doing athletics at a young age, swimming, basketball, track and field, etc. It would have been a lot different path. I think the journey over the years has put me into a position to help others, to make a difference, to make a positive impact. And it's been a tough road, especially the first 3 years in recovery, leaving the ICU, actually being in the hospital. But the journey over the years, being able to connect with other people and hear their stories and understand the journeys that they've been on and that they're going through, to help them in some way, it's been a great life the past 20 years.
Yeah,
And
you can attest to this. Tragedy can become triumph, and we sometimes don't triumph in life. because life just goes on and we're a little complacent and all that. But it's amazing how many people I talk to that something very tragic happened in their life and they learned from it and they now know that their life is much more fulfilled because of that.
Yes.
You don't want it to happen to anybody, but it's much more fulfilled because of that. Eh, after you did Kona though in 2007, did you think you were going to do more and more Ironmans and marathons? Did you figure out at that time, you know what, this is going to be my active lifestyle?
Yes, immediately. As soon as I got to Kona, whether I finished that race that year or not, I knew it was gonna be a part of my life. From that point on, I was just so amazed and inspired just by the people, the energy, the atmosphere, the race itself, and then coming home from Hawaii, the recovery is complete from that journey in Hawaii. I was like, when is the next triathlon? What if I train more for the next triathlon? What if the next Ironman? If I can really, now that I have this experience, I've only had a few limited months of preparation for this particular one, was able to finish it, thankfully, with an amazing team. What will happen if I can put a lot more focus and energy and technique and practice and endurance
Hmm.
into this? And after Kona 2007, is 2008 was my first, well, second half Ironman. It was Eagle Man in Maryland, and then it was Newfoundland half Ironman in Canada. That was July, and then we went to Clearwater for the half Ironman World Championships that year, and it just kept going from there. So this year for Ironman Maryland will be my third time doing that race, and it'll be my seventh full distance Ironman. And I've lost count on the half Ironmans, but for the full distance, it'll be number seven.
That's yeah, yeah. I knew you were doing Maryland this year. God, I wish I could be there with you because the last time I was at Maryland was the last time I called it, and I got the whole family was there, and
Yes.
even little Clara got a kiss from Clara. So it was, yeah, and I actually put that picture in the book
Mhm.
because it was such a beautiful reunion, and I hadn't seen you guys in a while. So it was. So is it is it just so much easier to do Maryland because it's like home?
It's definitely home, and I love that course. I've Eagle Man. I've done 4 years, and this will be my third Ironman Maryland. So we've done a lot of races in that area. I love that course, the bike course especially, the crowd, the home field aspect, being from Maryland, and it's a Maryland race. It's also, this year is the 10th year of Ironman Maryland
Hmm.
itself too. So that's also special. 20 years for the recovery, 10 years for this amazing Ironman Maryland race. We're proud of it here in our state, and the race director Angie is fantastic. The whole team
Hmm.
that we have there for that race is just a wonderful, wonderful group.
It's a beautiful event. I had a blast there. It beautiful. Yeah, I think I was there. Yeah, 2 years. It was fantastic. One of my last questions on, and you can be as extrapolate as much as you want on this thing. It's called tri-table racing. I've got great friends that race the Baja 1000 in trophy trucks, that 1,000-mile race through Baja California down in Mexico. And I've been in a truck before racing, and it's insane. But afterwards, they get together and they sit around a table and they call it table racing, where they reminisce about the race or another race or whatever. Just a great BS session. So I call this tri-table racing. So you reminisce with us about something that happened maybe during an event, whether it was the swim bike run, during a run, something that comes to your mind to reminisce about an event with us.
Oh, there's
You pick it.
so many memories, so many memories. I would say, especially the first few, because I was so new to the sport back in 2007, 2008 timeframe. I think just having family there, that's always a
Mm.
great experience. That my relatives have come to my races in the past. That was special. And also, I would say 2018 Ironman Maryland. It's my second time doing that. My last full distance Ironman. Having you there, doing the announcing, crossing the finish line to your voice, having my wife there, my parents, having my daughter Claire. She just turned about 1 year that time frame. So I think that for me was something that just really stands out. That was a really special moment for me and my just my overall endurance career, having you there and my parents. and family.
Were there any events or tries that you DNF'd, you didn't finish, Bry?
Knock on wood, I have finished every running event, every triathlon, every Ironman, every half Ironman. The first two being Steelhead, that was a close one, and also for Kona that year, that was also a lot of uncertainty there for me. But knock on wood, I've been able to finish every single race that I've entered.
Well, as you know, our sport is so diverse, and going through age groups, people doing races from 18 years old to 82, 84 years old. So the age group ranks, it's a big slice of our beautiful population. So, what kind of advice would Brian Boyle give to your age group peers out there?
Oh yeah, that's for first timers specifically, or any age group.
First timers or veterans, whomever you want to direct it
I'd
to,
say for
your advice.
first timers, because that's a big part of my background
Okay.
was especially getting so new to the sport and doing those wonderful races. I would say just the consistency, just one foot in front of the other, going from the swim to the bike to the run, just staying positive. If you're going from A to B, that's the focus. But if things kind of go off the rails a little bit, it's okay to course correct. Just stay focused, stay determined, and really focus in on that why. What is that motivation that has inspired you during training, during that race itself, the people that are supporting you? Because in that race, you have a lot of time to think. You have a lot of time to reflect back on that inspiration that got you to that point. So I would say for the first timers that are out there, just enjoy the experience, reflect on it, stay positive, and you will get to that finish line.
Brian, do you have a goal, a time goal for Ironman Maryland this year? Come on, give it up.
I would hope.
Put yourself on this.
I'm nowhere near where I was. This was, I think, 2010 was my fastest Ironman, and that was Ironman Florida, and that was a 10:14 finish. So I was able to go from around
Mm,
15 hours in
wow.
Kona 2007 to 3 years later, almost breaking 10 hours. Haven't broken 10 hours yet, and I won't this year. But if I can be around 11, around 11 hours would be great. Having three young children, working full time, it's busy these days. We got a busy house, and also with
Oh, listen to you. I don't want to hear the excuses. I don't want to,
I'm already seeing the
you're like everybody else.
stage. Somewhere in the 11-hour range would be fantastic. If I could get to that, I would be thrilled with around 11 hours for September in Ironman Maryland. That
Well, that would be fantastic. I can't wait to follow you. I'll be following you all day long. You know that. So,
would be awesome.
Brian, how can people, give them the best ways that they can donate blood to the American Red Cross and contact you or talk to you?
Yes, I'm on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, just Brian Boyle Ironheart, and on YouTube as well. And when it comes to donating blood, yes, we would be thrilled to have you at an upcoming blood drive. You can call 1-800 Red Cross, redcrossblood.org, and you can find a local Red Cross blood drive near you that's convenient for your schedule and location. So yeah, we are always very appreciative for our blood donors.
Well, Brian, you're an amazing human going from practically deathbed to Ironman. And I still say to this day, it's one of the greatest sports comeback stories of all time of you being able to come from that hospital bed to the finish line in Kona and many finish lines after that. So my congratulations to you and your beautiful family. And by the way, I gotta give you props. I loved how you dressed everybody up for St. Patrick's Day. They look fantastic. Us Irish, we got to stick
It's
together
true.
and the Boyles, as Irish you are, but they look it was the cutest picture
Thank
ever.
you. Yeah, we have a lot of fun around St. Patrick's Day every year, dressing up and having the kids do the little dance and get some great content there. It's always a lot of fun.
Well, tell them you got an Uncle Mike. They got an Uncle Mike out there, just as Irish as they
We'll
are.
do. We'll do.
Brian Boyle, thank you again for your time and being on the podcast. And you are a true inspiration. Keep it up, and the best of luck in Maryland. And then I can't believe I got a call at the end of this. Uh, you always are an inspiration, and always know that.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mike. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for everything over the years. I appreciate it.
You got it. And thank you, everybody, for listening to another edition of Find Your Finish Line. Remember, for the most part, you are always the cause of your experience. Keep those experiences in your life positive, and you will always get to your finish lines. Stay strong out there, everybody. And as always, my warmest aloha.